I think that is such a good approach to just fully download with everybody that you usually do the holidays with and set those boundaries of, I don't know what we're going to be up for.
Yeah.
So just please show us grace.
And if they say to you like, well, we need an answer right now. Okay, then don't count on us. Like if you need an answer right now, then don't plan on us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
From the moment that life-changing stick revealed its verdict, our journey began. Suddenly, we were entrusted with the monumental task of motherhood. But amidst the joy, fear of the unknown sets in. How do we navigate this uncharted territory? With countless voices ready to guide us, it's easy to feel lost. Hey, I'm Hillary. I'm the founder of Settler. I'm also a registered nurse and mom of 4. I hope to be your trusted friend who helps guide you through the maze of early motherhood. I'm grounded in medical expertise with a sprinkle of crunchiness, and I'm here to debunk myths and unravel truths. With a dash of type A energy, I promise to leave no stone unturned. Joining me on this adventure is my non-medical older sister, a future mom herself. Together, we'll get into the heart of early motherhood, asking the tough questions and seeking honest answers. So grab a cup of coffee, steal a moment for yourself, and let's dive into the adventure of early momming together.
All right. Welcome back, mamas. We have an excellent and exciting conversation to share with you today.
I'm Hillary. I'm the founder and CEO of Settler, and I'm also a mom of 4.
And I'm Erica, Hillary's big sister, a future mom, and our listeners' non-medical type A ambassador each week. Hillary, I know we have a big favor to ask at the top of the show.
Yes, which before we get to that, I just want to call out, if you have been listening to our previous podcast episodes, how much better does Erica sound? We upgraded.
We upgraded
finally
the
got
mic.
her upgraded with a better mic. So we are hoping to bring our sound guy, Kyle Moore, was like, you guys have got to get that sound fixed. So we are hoping that
I was working off a
easy.
Amazon mic, and Hillary said, I just bought you a mic. This is an investment.
It's being shipped.
In early momming. It's being shipped. And so we got it hooked up today, thanks to Kyle.
Yes.
And here we go.
So what I was going to say before that about the reviews, I'm going to ask you guys to go leave us a review to help make us more findable. That is the way the algorithm works. If we don't have reviews, then the podcast algorithm thinks that our podcast is not worth listening to. So if you like listening to us, if you found anything valuable from this episodes or episodes past, please go leave us a review, and then also sharing, texting the episode to your friend, to your sister, that helps too. But we just want to make it more findable for moms that are in this early motherhood season.
Yeah. And thanks to all of our early moms that have already left a review for us. I feel like I like going on there every now and again. It just makes my heart so full to see that people are enjoying listening to us. So we get the Google algorithm piece or the iTunes algorithm piece, but we also just love hearing that we're serving. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I get lots of DMs on Instagram, and I'll see patients in my office and they're like, oh, I listened to you and Erica talking about this or this. And so that definitely fills me up too, for sure.
Yeah. Good. Well, before we get into our topic today, I wanted to catch up with you. We have actually spoken quite a bit over the last couple of days because you are fully downloading on me because I am coming to take care of your 4 children for 10 days. And your Europe trip is like literally hours away, days away.
Yes.
Are you feeling good?
Yes. I think, to be clear, I called Erica this weekend and I said, hey, we need to schedule a conference call, and I just need to tell you all of the things that I'm really anxious about. I just need to verbalize them to you so that you know. And she was like, sure, no problem. And then she walked away from the conference call with a three pages of notes or something.
Yeah, it was 2 full pages on my Remarkable of notes. One of the sections is titled Hillary's Fears. just so I can
But
go
I think
back.
it just helped me to verbalize them, even though many of them are irrational or definitely, we talked earlier in a couple of episodes about intrusive thoughts with Dr. Alice Pickering. And like, yes, I realize that some of those are intrusive thoughts, but it feels better to just communicate them to you and share my anxiety with you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's good for me to know too, because then I'm going to avoid at all costs having to call you and update you on a situation that involves any of your fears. So that was good for me. I also am going to like just let the whole crew know when I got there that I have 2 pages of notes that were downloaded with me so that everybody
Great.
knows, like, if you think you're getting away with something, I'm going to reference these notes. So,
Yeah. And 3 out of the 4 of my kids can read at this point. So you can actually just point them to your mom said this.
Yeah. So we're good. So are
Yeah.
you packed? Are you feeling now ready?
I'm pretty much packed. I'm a little bit worried about Luke. So Luke, my husband's birthday is actually tomorrow, which when this podcast airs, his birthday will have come and gone, but he's turning 39. And we keep joking. I'm like, you should go buy yourself a new wardrobe for your birthday, which who wants? Most guys don't want to do that, but he needs some clothes. So tomorrow I'm actually planning on going shopping for him for some clothes to wear because I looked at the weather. It says it's going to be low in the 40s, high in like the 50s, maybe 60s. And that's like wintertime weather for us here in Charleston. And Luke does not have style. We're going to Paris and you're supposed to be stylish in Paris. So
it's the fashion capital of the world.
So that we're not sticking out like sore thumbs in a very stylish city. And people are like, hey, they are definitely tourists because look at what they're wearing. I'm going to try to get him a couple things to make him a little bit more stylish. But yeah, I'm pretty much ready to go. I've got all my clothes sort of in a spot in my room and I'm pretty much ready. I've got some things on my checklist that you and I covered, like texting friends' moms to let them know we're going to be gone and emailing the school to let them know when we're going to be gone. But other than that, I've pretty much got everything checked off the checklist.
Yeah, good. I'm excited for you. I have not forgotten about the butter that I've requested, so that
You've
needs to come back
requested it
with you
via Instagram reel every day for the last
multiple
8
times
weeks.
a day. Yeah. Well,
If I do not
keep
come back with
clicking on
butter,
it,
I'm like, I'm going to be in trouble. If I do not come back with a lot of butter, there will be hell to pay, right?
Yeah. I'm really
need to bring
excited
the butter
about
back.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This is off topic, but we need to do this. Okay. So have you seen the Instagram reels where the women buy the same shirt for all of their like husbands or partners and they don't tell, like they're obviously dressing their husbands. And so they don't tell their husbands that they're putting them in a shirt that's going to match their friends.
No,
Or,
I've not seen
like
that.
family members.
And then they all show up in the same place.
And then they all show up and they just kind of like start putting it together that they're all in the same shirt. Like there's videos all over the place of people showing up at like the airport early in the morning and they're like,
gosh.
oh, you have the same shirt on or like to a holiday event?
Because their wife like obviously dresses them.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably do that.
Oh my gosh. That would
I
be
bet
funny.
we could get our mom involved in that too.
Yeah, like
so
at the
that she can
holiday,
dress
like
our
we could
stepdad.
all. Ooh, that's actually a really good idea. The only problem is that, well, Luke is not going to listen to this podcast, but I did hear that our stepdad has been listening to this podcast, so he might be in on the joke. But that's funny. We got to remember that one.
I think he'd still wear the shirt.
Yeah, he probably would. We just have to tell him not
I think
to tell
he'd be
anybody
the
else.
best sport out of all of them. And
Yeah.
so Mark, you cannot tell Nate and Luke.
And this
anybody.
is how we know if our husbands are actually listening to our podcast, if they bring this up.
Yeah, they're not.
Which they're not.
Yeah. Awesome. Great.
Thank you for listening, because our own husbands will not listen to us.
Exactly. Exactly. Nate will listen if I have it playing. He, tunes in.
He doesn't like cover his ears and run out of the room.
Yeah, he's not running out of the room, but he's definitely not downloading. He doesn't have the alert on that Early Momming has dropped an episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited. Everybody stay tuned on how this goes. I'm sure I'll have many
Funny
stories from the kids. I am so excited to just have that time with them. So thanks for letting me come in and do that, Hill.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. All right. So on the topic of our episode today, which is preparing for the holiday season, and really talking about balancing new motherhood and family expectations at the holidays, having a new baby, I thought that we would take a trip down memory lane and talk a little bit about our favorite holiday traditions and maybe memories from our childhood. Are you game?
Love that.
Okay. Well, what was your favorite holiday tradition? Like, talk about maybe what you thought was special as a kid and what you really liked about things that we did around the holidays that maybe weren't done, around any other time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, Thanksgiving and Christmas specifically. So Christmas Eve, do you remember we always like slept in the same room together? All four of us. I don't know when that started. My memories, I always remember Sam being there. So Sam, I will be 37 in December. How old is Sam?
Sam, 31.
Okay. So we're like 6 years apart.
Yeah. Because he and I are 7 years apart.
Okay. So I always remember Sam being a part of it. So I'm sure it's funny. Ruth was just asking me, this is kind of a segue. Ruth is 6 and she was actually the first one to go to bed tonight because she was falling apart. Usually she's falling apart on Thursday night. It's a Monday night. I don't know what happened tonight that today was a rough day, but literally at 6:30 p.m. she went to bed. And so Clay and I actually went and put her to bed because she was falling apart. And so Clay kind of crawls up there with her and is snuggling in her bed. And he's like, I sleep with Ruthie. Clay's too. And Ruthie and Clay were trying to talk me into Clay sleeping with Ruthie. Obviously that did not happen. But Ruth was like, when can he sleep with me? And I was like, when he turns 3. So that's 9 months from now. When he turns 3, that's the first time that you guys can kind of have a sleepover. So it's funny that we're talking about that now because siblings like sleeping together. You and I used to sneak in your bed all the time, which I've mentioned on the podcast.
Right. Well, that's what I think happened. You were like, it's Christmas. Like I'm sure that's how I positioned it. I'm sure that's how I positioned it. And you were willing participant at that point. Like, but I don't remember. Right. I feel like I always remember us doing that. Part of me was scared of like Santa Claus. I didn't want to be in my own room. Yeah.
If Santa Claus was coming in our house. That was my big issue. Is I was scared.
What was your fear? Did you think he was going to like come in and?
I have no idea. I don't know. Even now, I'm scared of Santa Claus. I'm scared of him now. And
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember that. And then cookies, I feel like everyone does Christmas cookies, but our mom always did certain Christmas cookies. So like the date Christmas cookies, I don't remember exactly what's in them. I feel like there's dates in them, but they're like balls and then you put them in sprinkles. She would do make them look like strawberries. So it'd be sprinkle with then the little green stem on it, which is sugar.
Those are good.
Mom, I love you, but that dye sugar is terrible for you.
Don't
bring me any this year because I'm not. Yeah, but I'll have the date cookies without the red dye sugars. And then also those oatmeal cookies that were. Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like drop cookies. They're not very pretty to look at, but they're
the peanut butter.
Those are
with
my favorite. Oatmeals. What were they?
The
No
bakes.
Yes,
they're no bakes.
Yeah,
and they're like peanut butter with oatmeal and chocolate.
Yes,
and you just drop them. Yes. Oh my gosh, they're my favorite.
Good. So cookies, I have very fond memories of cookies.
Yeah. And it was like mom would pick out a day that was her. And I think she probably still does.
And she gave cookies. We would always give them away, but then we'd always have a ton in the freezer and all that kind of stuff. So, and that's one of the traditions that I have carried over with our kids, with my family. I don't do quite as many varieties as mom did. I'm not the best baker.
Yeah, she had this. Yeah, she had the go-tos every year, and she did a lot. I mean, she probably had at least 15 different varieties. I just don't have the energy for that. Maybe when my kids are older, but I doubtful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got 4 kids, so you just put them to work eventually. Yeah. True. And then you get that many cookies.
This year, I'm going to challenge Boyd. Boyd has been cooking us dinner every Monday night. He gets paid for it. Did I ever tell you about this? So he gets paid Luke and I obviously both work outside the home. And so dinner at nighttime can be really like a thing that's triggering and it's exhausting. And we would rather pay our child to cook dinner for the family than pick up food. And side note, he's turning 13 next month and we're kind of paying him money that we need to pay him anyway so that he can have money to buy a car when he gets older. So like we're paying him, but really we're paying him knowing that he's saving that money for future
It's a savings
purchases.
account.
But yeah, exactly. It's like a savings account, but he's really good. He loves to cook. The other day we were watching Chef's Table on Netflix and it was this guy that's making pasta by hand, like literally by hand, 100% by hand. And Boyd watched it and then he went in the kitchen and got out some semolina flour and eggs and he made pasta by hand. And
what?
Yes, I didn't try it. I should have tried it. But he just went in there, made pasta by hand, cut them by hand, got some tomato paste and garlic and simmered it on the stove and then added the pasta to it and then cooked the pasta. Like he saw this on TV and then he went and did it.
Wow.
Well,
I know. He's like
ladies,
his dad.
he is gonna be a great husband one day.
Yeah.
Like he is just, and he enjoys it. But taking it back to this conversation, I should challenge him.
Are you trying to pimp him out on this podcast?
No, I'm just saying that I am mindful of my boys. I want them to grow up and be excellent husbands like Luke is. You know, like
Yeah.
I am mindful of that. Like I am wanting to raise our boys in a way that they are really good partners in parenthood and then just also in life. And they see Luke cooking.
Making pasta. Yeah. Making pasta from a hand is a good start.
Yeah. Yeah. But I should challenge him to like come up. So part of that dinner thing, also talking about the mental load, it is Boyd has to decide on what he's going to cook and then give me an ingredient list for what he needs. So it's not like
the week before.
He has to plan out what we're going to have. He usually leans on the side of, he likes to do Mexican style food. So like tonight he made dinner and it was beef burritos with all these different, like some beans. I mean, it was great. It was delicious. But it's not just him actually physically making the dinner. It's him figuring out
Meal
what
planning.
we're going to, meal planning and then telling me what ingredients he's going to have. So I should get him on Christmas cookies this year and be like, hey, boy.
100%.
Yeah. Like, cause I bet he would do a great job with some Christmas cookies. I'm going to do that. I'll let you guys know.
Well, you
how it
have
is.
to make your chocolate chip because you have, what is it? The brown butter chocolate chip.
Buttered chocolate chip cookies. Those are so
good.
Yeah. Did you find the freezer bag of dough that I left in your freezer?
Yes.
Did you make them yet?
What an angel you are. I haven't made them yet. Hillary made the dough and made some cookies, but then froze dough for me and left it in my freezer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I actually just found that this weekend again. Like I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I'm super pumped to have that
So
there.
quick tip, when you're making homemade cookie dough, double it and put half of it in the freezer.
Yeah.
You will thank yourself later.
I thank you later.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Well, to talk about going back to the holiday traditions, I think that one of the ones that I did like, even though I said that I didn't or begrudgingly allowed you guys into my bed, was being able to spend the night with you guys. And then do you remember that we were not allowed to go down the stairs or into the living area to see like what Santa brought us until mom and dad were up and said that we could go in there? And I just remember like, and maybe like our, like, I don't know, from 9 to 12 and above, I just remember us being like, Mom, Dad, like trying to wake them up from whatever room we were in across the house.
Yeah.
And then them being like, okay, we got to make coffee really fast and your mom's in the shower or whatever. And they'd just be like, nope, Santa didn't come, like standing there holding their coffee mug. I was just like, what jerks? But hilarious. Like, you got to have fun with it.
Yeah. No, that's funny. We've done that. We do. We don't let our kids go in the living room until we're up.
Till Luke's had his coffee.
Yeah, till Luke has gotten his coffee.
Yeah.
Which at the end of this recording, I threw up a Q&A box on Instagram the other day to ask about just questions or thoughts everyone has. So on the Baby Settler account, I was asking about, as a new mom heading into this holiday season, like what are tips that you have or what are worries that you have? And one of them was about like somebody said something about gift giving. So I want to circle back to that because I do think we'll come back to that. I'm going off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was how legit the Santa experience was in our house when we were really little. There was, I think, probably a point in time where Hillary and I were probably starting to question Santa. And trigger warning, if any children are listening, you should probably stop listening to this podcast right now. And I'll give you a moment. Okay. So our parents probably at a certain point, and Hillary was probably the one that was like, I don't think he's real or something like it was definitely her because I wanted to believe, forever that Santa was real. But our parents went to such great lengths to make us believe that Santa was real. I mean, there was a camcorder set up one night, one Christmas, and they did some kind of like manual movie magic. There were like track marks, boot marks through our living room with powdered sugar. And like, there was camera footage about,
and
there
this was back in the day
there.
when it wasn't like an iPhone camera. We're talking like the old camcorder camera.
Like, remember the camcorder that you had the tiny tape?
Yes.
And then you'd take that out of the camcorder and then you put it in the
bigger
cassette adapter to put in your VCR. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I couldn't even remember what that thing was called. VCR. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, the VCR was the player.
Oh.
With the TV.
What was the
like
thing
the DVD
called?
Player.
Okay.
It was just like a cassette adapter.
Yeah.
Like the VHS cassette.
VHS. That's where I was going.
Yeah. So that was like,
and
if you
there
think
was,
about how manual that was
and
some
on
legit.
The roof. Wasn't there something on the roof? We got a go-kart that year. And there was candy outside. Were there not footprints on the roof?
Something like, I don't know.
It was
we had no further questions after this like whole drama played out.
I always have questions.
Yeah. They were probably like, went a little, what? still questioning after very clearly this magical experience has happened.
Yeah.
That was a cool memory for me. Yeah. For them just going that extreme to make us still have that magic in our hearts.
I have to tell you something. Yeah. You might be surprised by this. And I know this, I have seen around the holidays, like this is actually one of those things that's discussed on Instagram, especially with like your belief backgrounds. Like if you're a Christian versus, what are we promoting at Christmas time? And I'm not going super deep on that right now because I think it's highly personal and very nuanced. But as far as Santa goes, I don't really care if my kids believe in Santa. Is that bad? Yeah. Like, no, I think Boyd's, we don't really, if they flat out, so what I have started saying, and Luke, he is kind of on the same page with me, but also likes the idea of them believing a little bit longer. But basically, because even last year, Ruthie she was 5, she turned 6 in June. So last year she was 5.5. And she asked me if Santa was real. And my response was, do you think he's real? And she was like, and, of course she wasn't happy with that. And I was like, if you believe he's real, then he's real.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just have a lot of thoughts about that. Boyd obviously does not believe in Santa anymore. And at this point he's older and he asks for money and he like, it's worth having a conversation with him. Like, hey bud, listen, you're getting this and this, but that equals this amount of money. And so he's at the age where he understands. He needs to understand that it's not just a magic. Yeah. Yeah. And then also, by the way, mom and dad actually paid for all these gifts. It's not just like, so this year Ruth was just flipping through the Amazon Prime sends out, do you know this? They send out like a toy catalog. It's like,
do you remember we used to get the Toys R Us catalog?
Yeah. So now it's Amazon Prime. So it came out the other day. I actually threw it away, but then we went to a friend's house and she had 2. And so she gave Ruthie 1. So Ruthie brought it home.
Man.
So
can't get
Ruthie
away from it.
Is just like looking through. It's just like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get this and I'm going to get this. And I'm like, Ruthie, that's not how it works. And he goes, yeah, if I ask Santa for it, I'm going to get it. Like just very, so
Matter of fact, she has it figured out.
yeah. And so anyway, I think we did tell her that the tooth fairy was not real. Mostly because we kept forgetting to put money under her pillow and she was very upset because I'm tired. I go to bed and that's Luke's the one that's supposed to do that. And it was like 3 nights in a row he forgot and she would wake up in the morning and she would come in and she'd be like, the tooth fairy didn't come. The first night Luke told her that tooth fairy doesn't come out to our neck of the woods, but once a week. And so that's why she didn't get it. So
that is
then it was
hilarious.
So then like multiple nights of not getting it. So finally I was just like, you know what, Ruthie, the reason the tooth fairy hasn't come is because mommy and daddy are the tooth fairy and we are tired. And we forgot
$5.
Yeah.
Please go away.
We gave her $2. We're like, here's $2. And she's happy with that. Like she doesn't really care about it anymore. But I did tell her like, hey, if your friends are losing their teeth at school, like sometimes it's fun to make believe in things. And so don't tell them that the tooth fairy is not real unless they're like, yeah, I think I just told her not to tell them to like, try not to have it come up in conversation because she's in first grade and that's kind of, that's.
Give her an extra $1 if she keeps it quiet.
Yeah.
That girl is money motivated.
Yes, she is money motivated. She for sure. So the whole thing with Santa Claus, like if she knows Santa Claus is not real, I think she's going to be the one that's going to go to school and be like, Santa Claus is not real. Elf on the Shelf. Okay. We tried that one year. That thing is more annoying than it's worth.
I have a question about that later. So let's
I'm just going to tell you Elf on the Shelf last year, she went to school because they do that in the classroom. And she was telling her whole class, like, this is fake. Oh, no. This is the teacher. Like, this is not real. And I didn't get any emails from any other parents or anybody about that situation, but that's my child. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm that mom.
Just living in reality over here.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I feel like I'm nice and festive now that we can get into our conversation, and we'll get back to some of those fun traditions in a little bit after we talk a little bit more. But first, before we jump into it, we have a sponsor again this week, which is Baby Settler.
This podcast is brought to you by Baby Settler. Here's the deal. Most parents and healthcare professionals don't realize that 95% of the sleep puzzle in the first 6 to 12 months is feeding. Your baby needs to be able to take a quality, efficient, effective feed, whether they're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, to be able to drop nighttime feeds. There is a very uncomplicated strategy to this. In my ultimate guide to nighttime weaning, I walk you through it step by step. It's a guide for babies 0 to 12 months old, delivered through our custom Baby Settler app. Go to babysettler.com to find out more. You deserve to be the best parent you can be, and I truly believe that as parents, we need uninterrupted sleep to thrive.
All right. So let's jump into a more serious topic. And I don't necessarily think it has to be like the most serious, but talking about bringing a new baby home during the year, and then how does that change your holiday moving forward? So talking Thanksgiving, Christmas, there's lots of expectations for holiday, visiting relatives, gatherings, whether you're going or you have hosted in the past, family traditions that maybe your extended family you've been able to be a part of in the past, and now that you have a baby, maybe that's not convenient or it doesn't really work for you anymore. So maybe just talk a little bit about those expectations with family and maybe managing the expectations and what you've seen and experienced personally. Because I know that this comes up a lot during this time of year.
Well, and you can probably share some insights on what you've seen Luke and I implement over the holidays. I will say how we navigated it with our first child is a lot different than what we do now. So for reference, my first and second are both November babies. So we have November 7th and then November 19th. So November 19th, Ben, he was like barely a week and a half old, barely a week old at Thanksgiving when we had him. And I do remember that those two immediate holidays with newborns were very, very stressful. Ruth and Clay are both summer babies. So when we get to the holidays, like they were both at least 4 months old at that point. So we're talking, they're sleeping 12 hours at night. Like we're
You
on a
didn't
good.
mind people putting their hands or, like holding them probably more than you did a newborn as well.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of, exactly. So I think people that are having babies in the month of September, October, November, December, like it is especially stressful time because you're not just navigating that as a new mom or new parents with a new baby. It's also like a newborn. And so there are things that can come up and we can kind of get into some of those. But I think the most important thing is that you and your husband, your partner, you guys decide what you want to do. So I think letting go of all the what we should do, what other people's expectations are for us to do. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that whatever decisions that you make align with what you want to do. And you have to communicate those to each other. So like you might have one idea in mind and your husband might have a different idea. And then also different families have different expectations. And so I think that first of all, you and your partner kind of discussing what you each want to do separately and then aligning that, making sure that's aligned, and then maybe listing out like, okay, here's all these expectations that we think people have of us. These are the things that we think we should do. Now from that list, what do we actually want to do? Because if we don't want to do any of that stuff, then what's that saying? Like, I don't want to have to make this an explicit like episode, but if it's not a,
yeah.
If it's not a F yes, it's a no. And I think that I don't ever cuss, by the way.
That was my
anyway.
motto when I was dating.
Yeah.
Like if I go out on a date and it's not an F yes, it's a no.
It's a no.
So we have to apply that. We'll just keep applying that.
Yeah.
In every scenario.
So I do think that like you have to really think about that and make sure that you are really, really using that, because you can say your capacity for doing things when you have a baby, if you're heading into the holiday season and you have a baby that is less than 4 months old, just being in that season of life is already more stressful. Add on if your baby's not sleeping well, which if your baby's not sleeping well, please go to babysettler.com and let me help you navigate that, because I can help you get your baby sleeping better. But if you're not sleeping well and or your baby's less than 4 months old, we're worried about higher risk for getting sick. Also just like feeling run down. And then I did a prenatal consult the other day for a couple who they're due with their first baby. I think it's November. I think their baby's due like the first or second week of November. And this mom is already thinking ahead. Like she's way ahead. She's thinking
Love
ahead
that for her.
Yeah. And she's already talked to her mom about expectations. She said, we have these things that we do as a tradition as a family. And what do you think is realistic? And my response to them was, well, I think you guys have to decide what you actually want to do. I think also you need to be flexible in the moment, because if you have a great night of sleep the night before, you might get up the next morning and be like, yeah, we do want to leave the house and we want to go do all these holiday festivities and we're going to just go with the flow and, we'll feed when we feed and the baby will sleep when they sleep and then we'll come home and that's that. But if you have a really rough night the night before and you're just like, you know what, I just want to like hang out at the house and eat good food and take naps and not have to get ready and not have to go from house to house or be in somebody else's house when I want to just be in my own house, then I think you have to do that. So
yeah,
flexibility is key.
I like that the new mom that you were just talking about, I like that she's thinking ahead and having those conversations ahead of time, because that's a way easier conversation with your family to say, hey, I don't know how I'm going to feel in this season with a newborn. Please show me some grace, because I don't know how this is going to go. And we're preparing as a family to not commit to everything that we have in the past, and just like setting that up.
Yeah.
Because I know that Nate and I, when we have kids, like we're very flexible right now. We can go to South Carolina and be with my family a year. And we can get up and go to, his sister's house in the morning because she has the little kids right now. But that's not always going to be the case. And so I think about Nate and mine, our first holiday season going in as parents. I think that is such a good approach to just fully download with everybody that you usually do the holidays with and set those boundaries of, I don't know what we're going to be up for. Yeah. So just please show us grace.
And if they say to you like, well, we need an answer right now. Okay, then don't count on us. Like if you need an answer right now, then don't plan on us, This couple that I was just talking about, they have family tradition of going somewhere on Christmas Eve. So like Christmas Eve afternoon, Christmas Eve evening, like evening late, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And then on Christmas Day. And they were like, what about, at this point, I think we calculated it and their baby would be somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks old. And so I was like, at that point, it's very possible that your baby is sleeping a long stretch from say like 7 to 8 p.m., sleeping through to 2 to 3 a.m. So you have to make the decision, do I want to stay out until 9, 10 p.m., come home and not get that stretch of sleep that's your one long stretch of sleep, and miss out on that? So then you come home and you're up at 2 to 3.
Yeah. And then what are your obligations the next day that you need to be prepped and ready for?
And so that's where it's like, if you're at the point where you have a 4 to 6 week old and you're only, that your one stretch of sleep is from 6:30 to 7 p.m. to that 1 to 2 a.m. hour, that's your only time to get a good 5 hours. You need at least 4 to 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep to like feel human. If you staying out later is going to interrupt that, I personally would not make the choice to do it. Like I would be like, I'm not saying you wouldn't, but I would not. I absolutely would not, especially if I had more than one kid and I have to be, and I want to enjoy Christmas Day the next day with my toddler or other children. I want to make sure my baby sleeps the night before so I can have a good Christmas Day. So like, I think that is, that definitely, just don't be afraid to say no. Because I do think sometimes it's hard for, our parents and our family who are used to us. Like we're their kid, like they want to do Christmas with us. But I think if you just kind of are honest and say like, hey, this is why we're making this choice. And you have the communication with it.
Yeah. It's nothing personal. It's not that we don't want to uphold family traditions or spend time. It's just a different situation that we're in this year with a new baby.
Yeah. And then having like, if you're up for it, have family travel to you. Like if, say, and I would recommend doing it in the morning hours. So what I have historically done is coming in the morning hours. So even as our kids have gotten older, they still go to bed early. And I like to have them in bed earlier because I like to have that time. And, our oldest is older now, so he's up pretty much past my bedtime nowadays. But when he was younger, like Luke and I would like to have that 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour to ourselves. So we would invite family over for brunch. Like maybe they can come over for brunch. If you have a baby, like, that would be better to have them come over between 9 to 12 as opposed to coming over after 5 p.m. where you're kind of approaching that time where you need to be doing cluster feeds and you need to be thinking about getting them down for the night. So I think having family come to you at times, and maybe you don't necessarily sit down and plan a big meal out together, but maybe you have like a brunch or you have just a drop-in kind of thing. I do feel like that's something to consider.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
What about, I don't know this yet, but I can imagine, and I've heard from friends that you get around family and you're a new parent and there's lots of opinions on parenting and maybe unsolicited parenting advice that you may get. What's your approach to that? Are you just kind of like smile? I don't know.
What's my approach to that, Erica? You tell me what's my approach to that.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Boyd is almost 13. Like, I don't know that I really remember.
Yeah. When he was younger.
Yeah. When he was younger. I mean, do you think it's just kind of smile and nod and just
honestly, like when you ask me that question, my first thought is, I think this is in the politics category. Like we just don't talk about it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But you're still going to have people still talk about politics.
Yeah, they're still going to talk about it, but I wouldn't share a lot of details. I think I would be very vague. I wouldn't
like,
open
don't share
up
all of your problems.
Yeah, I wouldn't open up the door for now. If this is like your best friend or like your mom, like that you can, really talk to, like, that they're actively listening to you, and it's not just like them wanting to hear you say that you're having a problem. So then they can share all their advice and tell you how you need to fix it. That is not the person I would be taking advice from. But if it's someone that you feel like genuinely cares and genuinely wants to hear, then I think sharing some, but you have to protect your peace, and you have to protect, there's just too many voices. So I think that it's going to make you second guess things. Now, if you're truly having issues, I would look to actual experts. Like if you are, at the point where if there's any feeding challenges, like try to work with a feeding specialist in your area that can actually like see you do a feeding, make sure there's nothing going on there. If your baby's having sleep challenges, finding a program and kind of understanding the why behind recommendations and trying to kind of get into it. But the truth is that you have to understand why you're doing things, and then so that you can make it work for you and your baby. I don't think over the holidays is the right time to really start telling people what is going on, because like you mentioned, it is just going to be a flood of advice and information. And I think if somebody's, how is sleep going? Well, is your baby sleeping through the night or whatever? Just say, yep, it's going, it's going okay. Or
less is more, maybe.
Yeah. Less is more. Like, I would give very surface level answers. I would not allow it to go deep. I don't think
just to avoid the unsolicited advice.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, how to prioritize baby's needs during the holiday season. So when you kind of navigate that expectations with family, how do we make sure, because there are still going to be things that you're doing that are outside of like your normal routine, because it is Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you might want to participate in some of those activities. So what are your tips for making sure that baby stays either on schedule or has all their needs met during this type of season? Yeah.
So if you're not at home, I would definitely try to identify like where is a good feeding space? Like where can you go to feed your baby that is not in front of other people? And not even for the fact that like, you're like, oh, well, I feel comfortable breastfeeding in front of people. That's not even why I'm saying, like, if you feel comfortable, great. But when as your baby gets older, I mean, if it's a newborn baby and you feel comfortable feeding in front of people, then by all means feed your baby in front of people. But when a baby is more than like 6 weeks old, and especially if they're 3 to 4 months old, they do not feed well when there is a lot of stimulation and a lot of new stuff and distractions. Yeah. So I would try. And then also, if you are a breastfeeding mom, sometimes it's hard to have a letdown if you are just the center of attention, which you probably would be if you're feeding a baby, if there's a new baby there. So I would try to go find a space that, and this is something that you can kind of plan ahead. If you are going to a friend's house or family's house, you can kind of call ahead, text ahead and say, hey, like when I'm there and I'm feeding, is there like a private space that I can go to feed? Even if you're just bottle feeding, I think it's nice to get away for 20 to 30 minutes and just like have that quiet time. And then the other thing I would recommend is finding a baby wrap or a carrier that is very comfortable to you, that you feel comfortable with, and putting your baby in that baby carrier for sleeps. I would not recommend bringing a pack and play or another sleep space to someone else's house and putting your baby down, especially if it's not, for example, like let's say you're going to your parents' house and your baby is already used to doing sleeps at your parents' house. So you're over there a lot. There's an extra crib over there. Your baby takes naps over there all the time. That's different. I'm
Because
talking
it's familiar.
It's familiar. Like that's different. If you're going to a house or going somewhere and your baby doesn't ever sleep over there, I would not waste a lot of effort trying to get your baby to go to sleep in a crib or a pack and play in someone else's house, because the amount of effort that you're going to put into it, and it's probably not going to work. So I think in those situations, I would just plan on baby wearing, and maybe you have to feed, change their diaper. And then when it's time for them to go down for a nap, you have to leave the room, go to that quiet, private place, turn the lights down, turn a sound machine on. You can bring a portable sound machine, and you have to kind of get them to sleep. And then after they go to sleep, you can walk back out and be around the family. Like sometimes it does take you actually getting them to sleep outside of of everything that's going on, and then rejoining the group. But I would recommend prioritizing some naps like that, depending on how long you're gone, especially if it's leading into the evening. I think this is a good segue to talk about sickness as well.
Well, I was about to say that might be a good,
Yes.
I feel like with you, I was always very sensitive around the holidays, because for Boyd and Ben, you had them, they were so young, and we were going into family events. We're friends and family, and not anybody that you didn't trust, but just like the passing around of the baby and contact with a brand new baby always, I knew was a sensitivity, and I always wished that I could help, protect the boys more. But I think that's probably a good strategy, is to put the baby on you and just say,
yeah, I didn't figure that out until Ruth. I mean, I didn't, and I used that for like basically the whole first 6 months. Anytime we, not even just around the holidays, but if we're at family gatherings or things that I would always just put my baby, because people are not going to ask you if your baby is sleeping on you in a carrier, they're not going to ask to hold your baby. I mean, if they do, I don't know. That's pretty bold.
Very bold.
Yeah. So I would say like, that's a really good strategy too, to prevent your baby from being passed around. Another reason why to go feed in private. I mean, again, you're not showing up at these events to give your baby away to all these people. Like they might be disappointed that they didn't get to hold the baby. They might be disappointed for whatever reason, but especially if you have a baby less than 4 months old, like, yeah, you can see the baby, but I don't want you kissing on your baby. I mean, we're flu season, COVID, RSV. There's just,
it wasn't about trusting. And I think that's what it is. Like, oh, you don't want me to hold your baby. No, it's not that I don't want you to hold the baby.
I don't want to deal with a sick baby.
I
don't want to have to deal with,
you don't know that you're
holidays.
Carrying germs.
No, no. And I'll tell you, Clay was born in July, but he had he had COVID between months or at 6 to 7 weeks. He had COVID, which he got when we got back from Arizona from visiting you. Which he wasn't really that symptomatic, but he was fine. But then he also got RSV around 10 to 12 weeks because Ruth was sick because she was in school. And that was after we had all come out of this like COVID sterile environment. I think all the kids were sick at that point, but it's not fun to have a sick baby. So it's like,
so even if do what you can to protect it.
Yeah. Like even if we know that they're going to be okay, it's still not fun. It makes feeding more difficult. It makes sleep more difficult.
And then
so it makes life more difficult.
Getting sick at Thanksgiving and then add that to the holiday season.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so it's not even about,
you want to take us out for the whole holiday season, get my kids sick.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think that's kind of, and what I always tell, I would hope that people wouldn't be kissing on your babies, but for sure, I would not be letting anyone kiss on your babies unless it's like your parents or your sister or your brother, like it is your immediate family. I would not be letting anyone kiss on your newborn.
Who would be very careful.
Who would be very careful and was like if they even have a sniffle, they're
sniffles.
Not. Yeah. Right. And like touching their hands, like don't touch their hands because, even as newborns, they're putting their hands to their mouth. So like your hands are touching their hands and then they're taking their hands and putting them in their mouth. So I think if you are somewhere with a baby, especially if you're baby wearing, and especially if they're getting any amount of breast milk, whether they're exclusively breastfeeding or, I definitely kind of to take a side note, when I'm counseling patients that are considering discontinuing from breastfeeding and they're like, is there any benefit to me still pumping once or twice? And I'm like, during sick season, like during October, November, December, January, February, like, yes, even if your baby only gets an ounce of breast milk a day, like if you actively get sick or your family gets sick or your baby gets sick, it is so beneficial for them to have those antibodies from breast milk. So anyway, that was a side note, but going back to like baby wearing, that is, I feel like you can be in a space around people if your baby is facing you on you and people are not like breathing over them or their spit or their cough. Face. Like I think it's pretty low risk that they're going to actually get sick from something. It would be more of the like holding them right by their face, touching their hands, and then baby touches their mouth and things like that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about self-care for new moms around the holiday. What's your gate-kept secrets?
Yeah, I think it's sleep. Prioritizing sleep and not overcommitting.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't feel great if you're not getting good sleep. So not overcommitting yourself, and then also saying no to things that you are just not feeling that great about.
Yeah, if it's not an F yes, it's a no.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think it's that.
I mean, if you're going to have any excuse to say no, this is the season to do it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
When you're a new mom. Yeah. Like that is probably the most understanding that people will be when you have a newborn at home.
And I think once you say no, you are better equipped to say no in the future, because I feel like every year I say no to more and more just because as a mom, and just because I'm realizing like, okay, I said
your commitments
yes to
get
this.
bigger.
Yeah.
They're not just you or just you and your partner.
Yeah.
You have more commitments to more people internally, in your family.
Right.
And so you have to say no to more outside stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about simplifying some holiday traditions. So how do you simplify holiday traditions but prioritize making like meaningful memories?
I don't know if I figured that one out yet.
Yeah.
I think that, again, like looking at the why behind why you're doing a family tradition, like, is this something that's super important to you? Is this something that, is there a point to this? Like, what are you trying to teach your kids out of this? Are you doing this because it truly like sparks joy? You love doing this. And so this is why you're doing this. I think, again, we could talk about that. Is this a good time to talk about Elf on the Shelf?
Yeah, we can. I mean,
the peer pressure and by peer pressure, I mean, Instagram, every holiday season.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm doing this, and, we have Halloween, and then we have Thanksgiving, then we have Christmas, then we have New Year's, and it's like all these crafts and things that we're doing. And there was like 2 years when we tried the Elf on the Shelf thing. And at one point, the first year we were pretty good at it, but we didn't enjoy it. And our kids liked it, but it wasn't like a make or break for them. And then the second year, Luke and I are, only moving the elf once a week. And we had to come up with a story for why he was only moving once a week. And then finally we're like, this elf is ridiculous. Like, this is way more work than it's worth. Our kids don't even care about it that much. I'm not saying other kids, there are probably other kids that would get a lot of joy out of that.
Yeah. And let me tell you, the Santa's watching, that might be a good inspiration for some better behavior.
That get a lot of joy out of doing the Elf on the Shelf. So like
some of those setups are very, very extreme.
They love it. It brings them joy and their kids love it. Like, those are the people who should be doing Elf on the Shelf. Yeah. Me and Luke, we are not the people that should be doing Elf on the Shelf, because it is a chore for us to do it. Our kids aren't even, when we do finally do it, they're like, oh yeah, he moved. Great. Like, it doesn't. So I think just not feeling pressure to do something because this is what you did when you were a kid, or because somebody else is doing this, but you'll kind of figure out what your traditions are. Here's one I just remembered. When we were kids, every Christmas Eve, do you remember driving around looking at the Christmas lights? Mm-hmm. Like every Christmas Eve, we got in the car and we drove around the neighborhood. My kids love that. Like, they absolutely love that. And so that's something that we do. So I think not putting too much pressure on yourself to identify this first year that you have a baby. Okay, like, these are going to be our holiday traditions. This is what we're going to do. They just evolve over time. And sometimes you have to let go things that you thought were going to be your traditions. And then you're like, you know what? This is not feeling right. We're going to let this go, and just being flexible. I think that is important.
Talk about being a type A mom. I think that I can imagine that you want to try to do and be everything for everybody. So I think just validating that you don't have to do everything for everybody every year. And maybe if you have a newborn at home and you have a toddler, maybe Elf on the Shelf can like take a break for a year. And maybe he got like, he's on vacation this year during the holiday season, and he comes back next year if that's something that you want to do. But I think just giving yourself a break, and again, showing yourself some grace about not being perfect at everything when you're in a very busy season.
For sure.
Something that I think that we do that's not necessarily like child related, but I think that it evolved into this when you started having kids, is we have 4 siblings. Like there's 4 of us. There's 3 stepsisters. We've got spouses. We've got partners. We've got, all these people that we buy gifts for. And something that we started, I think it was around the time that maybe Ben came around, we started doing like a drawing names, so that among our sibling group, we weren't having to buy every sibling a gift. And also, all the kids, because it's more fun to buy kids gifts and have that be a thing. But choosing that one person or that one sibling, and then you can spend more money on it. And then you're just kind of simplifying that. And then I think the other thing that Nate and I have really tried to impress upon everybody after getting married and combining households, and something that I've tried to do with your kids over the last couple years, is not do gifts, is do experiences.
Love
so
that.
that maybe I'm doing something special with them that they'll remember.
Because that is what they'll remember. They're not going to remember what you got them. They're going to remember what you guys did together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. And I would say another thing to add, and I know our mom is listening to this podcast, and we've had this conversation in the past. It's hard sometimes when your mom and your grandma's love language is giving, like gifts of giving, like that's their love language.
Oh, that's my love language too. I inherited that genetically from mom, receiving gifts.
Right. And so they love to buy for your children. And like, I love that. And I don't want to take that away from them. But at the same time, I have 4 kids, and the day after Christmas, I have to find a spot to put everything that was gifted to them. Mm-hmm. And that's really stressful. And I've talked to our mom about it. I've said, like it actually makes my day after Christmas really stressful. Like I'm already anxious about that day after Christmas because we have a small house, and I basically, from Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and everyone giving the kids gifts. And I think this is one of the reasons why you started doing the experience. It's like, okay, the day after Christmas, my job is to take all of these gifts that were given to them, and now I have to find a space for them. Mm-hmm. And so it actually takes away from my Christmas joy, because now I've got this huge task that I have to do the day after Christmas. And the kids are not gonna play with all these toys.
Well, like they're not going to remember where all these gifts came from. They're not going to be like, oh, that came from Gigi, or that came from, Erica or whatever.
Exactly. So I do think that having conversations like that with your family, whoever's buying the kids gift, and our family has been really, over the last couple of years, like our mom has been great with that. And like my husband's parents have been the same, they get 1 or 2 things, and it really has made a huge difference. But there was a time when they're each getting, 6 to 10 things from each grandparent, and then multiply that by multiple kids. And all of a sudden it's like, another.
And then go ahead.
No, I was going to say another thing that I do for Christmas prep is like the week or 2 before Christmas, I go through all of their toys and stuff and kind of do a clean out. So it's like getting rid of stuff to make
there's
space.
Already room.
Yeah, there's already room.
I also was just thinking about this. I think the experiences are better received, or are well received from the kids as they get a little older. I started doing the experiences several years ago with Ben and Boyd, and then Ruth just jumped on the bandwagon too. When she was little, we used to do these scavenger hunts when I was in town. And she was 3, maybe 3 or 4 when she jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
so
she was
it
little.
was early. that she really appreciated the experience. And then I think for a little kid, like a newborn or a 1-year-old, they're not going to remember. So ask the parent, is there something that the baby
like
needs?
you could do, swim classes. When you have a child,
Yes.
I am gifting your child annual membership to the Phoenix Children's Museum.
Oh,
Because
love
it is amazing. Like, I think that is a great gift. Things like that. Like we're in Charleston, like do an annual gift to the Children's Museum, do an annual gift to the aquarium, like a membership. I think stuff like that is awesome. And wherever you live, there's places like that. So I think those are great gifts for sure.
Yeah. All right. Support. Let's talk about support from your partner and close family. So you're a new mom. You have, all this new that you're dealing with and trying to meet expectations around the holiday season. How do you recommend leaning on your partner and involving them in the support that you need to get through the holiday season?
Yeah, I think I would recommend that each of you kind of is the messenger to each other's family. So like I would explain to my mom what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do, kind of what we're able. And
after
then
you've spoken about it,
after you've come
as a
together and
partnership.
talked about it, like you each communicate to your own family. And then once that communication has been kind of set and each family knows what to expect out of you guys, if you are less than 3 months postpartum. So again, like I keep saying less than 3 months postpartum or less than 4 months, because in that fourth trimester, the first 12 weeks after having a baby, you are, as a new mom, like you're at a vulnerable time in your life. Like there's a lot of hormones, there's lack of sleep, there's just a lot. You're learning, how to be a mom. Even if you already have a child, now you're learning to be a mom of multiples. Like there's just a lot going on at that time. And so in that season, I would say that your partner should be the person that everyone goes to. So like over the holidays, if there's questions or if you're like, when are you going to be here? What are you guys doing? Anything like that. I would encourage you to have your husband or your partner be the one,
like
that
the
is,
advocate, like on your wedding day, you want to like nominate somebody to be the communication line.
Assertive communication. Like your husband can deal with more passive aggressive comments, or, he can deal with other people's feelings if you made them feel a way that they don't like, and then you can just remove yourself from that. Like you can kind of, that's what I would recommend.
Well, also you're protecting yourself from, with no sleep and hormones.
Again, you're protecting yourself from the mental load. Yeah. You're making that boundary where you're just focusing on, for this short season, you're just focusing on your needs and your baby's needs.
Yep. Love it. All right. Well, I have a game.
Love games.
Are
Hot
you ready?
or not?
Hot or not. It's not hot or not. I thought about it. We did receive some positive feedback on the hot or not episode. So hopefully people enjoyed that. This one is, have you heard of this game? It's called Marry, Kiss, or Kill.
No, I have never heard of that.
Okay. So it's Marry, Kiss, or Kill Holiday Edition. And what made me think of this is, of course, tied back to Taylor Swift, because she has a lyric in her latest album, Tortured Poets Department, but her song, So High School, one of the lyrics is Marry, Kiss, or Kill, which is a game.
Okay. I have never heard of this game. How have I never heard of this?
It was featured in a Friends episode. Like basically the thought is, I'm going to give you something like an option and you would marry it like you love it. You would marry it like you're so committed to it. Okay. Kiss is like, yeah, I could flirt with that. I could date that, Okay. I like it. I could try it. Kill is like absolutely not, never want to see it again. Don't ever talk to me about it.
I love this. Okay. All right. Got it.
All right.
So you're going to ask me and I'm going to tell you marry, kiss, or kill.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And then you might say why, if you feel passionately about something.
Okay.
All right. So marry, kiss, or kill, Christmas countdown calendars or an advent calendar.
Kiss.
Okay. You could take it or leave it.
I don't stress about it. We have one. It's usually never actually on the date that it is, but it's kind of fun if you can remember it.
Yeah. I feel like you have kids you could assign that to.
Yeah, but they're not really. Yes,
they don't get excited about it.
But they don't really get that. Yeah. Maybe Ruth
somebody
will
in
this
our
year.
childhood. Yeah, maybe you could.
I feel like I was
introduce
into
to Ruth.
it in our childhood. I feel
Well, do
like
you
I was
remember we used to? I don't remember who gave them to us, but it would come in like a
chocolates.
the chocolates.
Yes.
Yes, and maybe it was Mary.
Yeah.
We had a foreign exchange student who is like a family member. She's like a sister to us. Maybe it was her that would give us these advent calendars, but they were like these flat boxes, and there was like a little door for every day.
Yeah, I'm sure if I
And
brought
you
one of
would-
those in the house, my kids would be all over it.
Oh,
Yeah,
they'd
but
love it.
mine's
That was
just like a
awesome.
felt one that you just
yeah, that's
add
boring.
ornaments to.
Yeah. Ugh. That's no fun. Okay, so maybe we should work on. I'm going to send them all the chocolate ones this year. I'll have to source those. Okay. Marry, kiss, or kill. This was new to me. I didn't know what this was. A Christmas Eve box. Have you ever heard of a Christmas Eve box?
I have.
Yeah. So it's a special box for Christmas Eve filled with pajamas, a holiday themed book, a snack, and maybe a small toy. You open it together and enjoy cozy time before bed. Marry, kiss, or kill.
Yeah, I love it. I would say I'm only going to say kiss and not marry because it sounds like a lot of work for my current season. I think it's a really
Sounds
good
like you
idea.
need to get your hands back on that Amazon catalog. It'd probably be a lot easier.
Yeah. So I'm going to say kiss.
Okay.
I think as the kids get older, that it's going to be more of a marry thing. I love it. I do love it.
So you're interested.
I'm interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like I know what you're going to say about this. So cookie baking or cookie decorating? Marry, kiss, or kill?
What do you mean cookie baking or cooking decorate? Like that's the choice?
No. Just like that as a topic. Like you're baking, holiday baking.
Yeah.
Marry, kiss, or kill?
Marry.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
we already talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
You actually brought this up too. Marry, kiss or kill, Christmas lights, drive or walk. Like driving through neighborhoods. Yeah, marry. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, everybody that lives in Charleston knows this, but do you have like, what is it called? The Holiday Festival of Lights?
Yes.
That we used to do?
Yes.
That was always really fun.
Yeah.
We've talked about this too, and I know your response. Marry, kiss, or kill, Elf on the Shelf.
Kill.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Kill him.
Okay.
Or her.
So I didn't know this, but I was looking at some of these traditions, and this was a family tradition that originated in Georgia in the 1970s.
The elf on the shelf or this thing?
The elf on the shelf.
Okay.
Yeah. The elf on the shelf. And so I think it was the kids or whoever, the family, the couple of family members that used to participate in this. In 2005, they released a book of their family tradition, which is when the elf on the shelf was introduced.
Oh, well, I love that for them. Like, I love that was an idea that came out of a family tradition.
Yeah.
I still want to kill it.
Let's see. The original elf was named Fizbee.
Okay.
And the tradition was Fizbee would watch over the children and report back to Santa on their behavior. The tradition evolved over time with Shonda, who was the mom, telling her children that the elf would fly around at night and shouldn't be touched.
Yeah,
so that was an evolution.
Kind of freaks me out. Like as a kid, that would have been really freaked out.
Yeah, that's
by
a quick way
information.
to get your kids to not sleep.
Yeah, I would have been crawling in your bed like that. That goes back to the fear of Santa Claus and having to sleep in your room because I'm worried Santa Claus is coming into our house and stuff. So
my niece Parker, she's the same way you were. And she is like terrified of anything. Like Santa last year, she couldn't handle that there was going to be a man. So I'm pretty sure they told her that he would leave the presents at the front door and that they would bring them in.
Perfect.
So I wonder how Natalie gets through that. Yeah. With the elf on the shelf. Okay. So kill.
Kill the elf.
And okay. Marry, kiss, or kill, holiday movie night.
Marry. Love it.
Marry.
Harry Potter.
What are your favorite holiday? Thank you.
Harry Potter.
Yes.
October rolls in. We start rolling out the Harry Potter episodes on repeat. We've already started them.
We have two.
Love it. I also, what else do we watch? We watch Elf.
Mm-hmm.
We watch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Grinch, not the old one, like the one that's like the cute Grinch.
The Jim Carrey one or the cartoon?
Other one, the cartoon. We watch that on repeat. What else do we watch? I feel like those
A Christmas Story.
Yep. Oh, do you know what? I just had another childhood memory. I used to watch Miracle on 34th Street over and over again at Christmas. Loved that one.
Me too. Yeah,
Loved
we would.
it.
We would watch that. We had that on VHS.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with gosh, I can't remember her name. The Matilda, the little girl that played Matilda. I can't remember what her name is, but yeah, no, those were good ones. If you have not seen Miracle on 34th Street, like it was probably released in 1997, I would guess. That is
good.
So good. And then I also feel like Little Women, even though it's not a Christmas movie.
Say Little Women.
Little Women with Winona Ryder and Kirsten Dunst.
Love it.
That is such a good.
I mean, they have Christmas in it. Like it is Christmassy.
Yeah. They go through all the seasons. Yeah. Okay. Tree decorating as a family. Marry, kiss, or kill.
I think it's a great tradition. It never goes as planned. So I'm going to say kiss. We do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten better over the years. What I used to do so now what I did this past year is I just like separated all the breakable ornaments from the non-breakable. And then Ben and Ruth decorated with the non-breakables. Boyd did the breakables. And then after they went to bed that night, I fixed them all.
Yeah. How you wanted them.
Right. I just let them put them on there and then was like, that looks great. And then they went to bed and I made them. They didn't even know I had changed it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So making gingerbread houses, marry, kiss, or kill?
Kill.
Kill?
Kill.
You seem like you feel passionate.
Because I have done that many times and it never ends well. Yeah. Always ends with a lot of sugar consumed, no houses constructed, and a lot of mess. Yeah.
Our grandmother used to make these elaborate gingerbread houses.
Yeah.
At Christmas.
I still don't know how she made them because I just have never been
They were
able
unbelievable.
I know. Yeah. I agree.
I mean, she would have like a Christmas village of gingerbread houses.
So awesome.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a dying art. Let's bring it back.
I agree. No, I'm not bringing it back because I can't stand it. I love eating them. I love looking at them, but you couldn't pay me to try and make one.
Maybe if you in the future spend a holiday out here in Arizona, we can maybe try to bring it back. And then there's both of us together. And then it's my kitchen and you're not having to clean up your own kitchen.
Yeah, I might just supervise. Just watch. By supervise, I mean just watch.
Okay. Marry, kiss, or kill. Letters to Santa before Christmas.
I think I've already kind of talked about my feelings about Santa.
So like kiss, you're not going to encourage it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How about with a little kid going to visit Santa at the local mall? Marry, kiss, or kill? Kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pictures are so cute.
I know. Listen, we didn't do it last year. Clay was our first baby that we did not take him to see Santa when he was a year old.
Oh.
So this year I'm going to take him this year.
You got to.
Yeah, this year I'm going to take him. This will probably be the year when he's crying his head off because he's like, who is this guy?
Good. That's the picture you want. I mean, not good. Sorry, Clay. Listen, there is a picture of mine and Hillary's it's probably your second Christmas because you were born in December. So it was a year. Yeah, it was a year later. You were definitely not a newborn. But I am sitting on Santa's one of the knees. We remember Richmond, the Santa that we would go see at this like mall in Richmond. He was legit. Yeah. And the picture of me sitting on one of Santa's knees and Hillary is just having a meltdown. I think that might be where your Santa fear was born. And you're like having a meltdown. And I'm just kind of looking at you like,
I can see this picture in my mind. Yeah. 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 I was probably 2. That's great. I think I was probably 2 because I look older than 1. Okay. But yeah, so I'd say kiss, like going to see Santa, it's kiss. Okay. I do not spend a lot of money on outfits. Like my kids are rolling up there in their day clothes. I personally
do it for the photos.
I don't
do
the
memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But just like do it for the
There
memory.
Are many
like
of my friends that they get their kids all decked out. They are the cutest. I love it. That is not me.
Yeah. All right. Not for everybody. Okay. Marry, kiss, or kill. Holiday book countdown. I didn't know that this existed, but apparently there's a tradition where you can wrap 12 or 24 books, new ones or ones you already have, and open one each night as part of a countdown to Christmas. Snuggle up and read together. Marry, kiss, or kill.
I have actually done that holiday tradition when Boyd was little, and it never.
Did you like it?
I like it. Just, it wasn't.
He wasn't interested.
It didn't go on. So I think it's a
Yeah.
good idea for a kid that really likes to read. I definitely think it could
Yeah.
be cool. So Kiss.
Yeah, there are some little kids that really, really
Yeah.
like those books
Yeah.
at bedtime. Okay.
Yep.
Marry, Kiss, or Kill, holiday scavenger hunt.
Kiss?
Kiss. Oh, Mary, if you're
I
an
knew you were-
aunt,
I know.
if you're an aunt, which I don't know why you would be listening if you're a childless aunt to this podcast, but maybe you're, me. I don't know. A holiday scavenger hunt for nieces and nephews has never gone wrong for me. It's awesome.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah. They do love it.
Love it.
And if you have kids that are 3 to 6 or whatever, like I just think that was always so fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last one. Marry, Kiss, or Kill, holiday pajamas.
Mary.
Mary?
Yes.
Do you guys do holiday
Ruth and I
pajamas?
have matching pajamas. Yes, we do. We do have.
Do?
Yeah, we do matching pajamas at holidays. Holiday pajamas. Love
Just
holiday.
you and Ruth, or you and the whole
Well,
fam?
the boys, I mean, they sleep in their underwear. So it's
yeah,
like.
but it's not for their sleeping. Like it's for the matching.
Yeah. Well, we do sleep in it. But yeah. So last Christmas, it was me and Ruth and Clay. We were matching.
Okay.
And the other 3 in our family they were matching in boxers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I think it's cute. I mean,
I think it's cute,
I
too.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes them feel special and matchy,
Yeah.
especially I could see Ruth loving
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Ruth loves it.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, we polled our Instagram audience.
Yes, let me grab my
about
phone
some
so I
holiday
can look up.
traditions, and I think we got a couple pieces of content that were either questions or tips for a smooth holiday season with a newborn.
Yes.
So what do we have?
So I'm going to read through some of these. I'm going to probably, in case if you are listening and you're an Instagram follower, I'm going to do the Instagram handle so you know that I'm talking to you. But if it is a sensitive one, I will not share your handle just in case.
Okay.
Okay. So Bunnies and Sunflowers said that her little boy is going to be 6 months old just before Thanksgiving. Should he try a form of all of the foods with us? I would say go for it.
Meaning should you introduce all of the holiday foods while you're eating? That's what the question is.
I mean, if your baby doesn't have any kind of sensitivities, I am not really of the mindset that we have to introduce one single food over a course of 3 to 5 days to see if they have a reaction. That's a topic for another day. If you've introduced things and your baby doesn't have any intolerances or sensitivities, and you're kind of doing that baby-led weaning, for sure, let them try everything for sure.
Yeah.
I think I would just be mindful of choking hazards, what is potentially a choking hazard. Otherwise, go for it.
And just so everybody knows, we had at least a 4-minute conversation about how tiny to cut up Clay's food over the next couple weeks. So
Yep.
I got that down pat.
Yep, for sure. Because that is one of my worries.
Fears.
I'm always worried about
Hillary's
choking.
fears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to share this Instagram handle because it might be a little sensitive, but this mom was saying that she's feeling guilt from family, especially her mother-in-law, about not celebrating on the exact day and not staying in town long enough. So I think we can all agree that you have to do what's best for you and your family. And that's hard. I think that's one of those things where if this is your mother-in-law, I would have your husband or partner be the one that is kind of leading that conversation and just be that wall for you so that you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah,
I would
and I
definitely
think-
not feel guilty about that.
No, but also expressing maybe to your partner, husband, hey, make sure you're explaining the why. Make
Yeah.
sure, you're covering this is why we can't stay as long, or this is why we need to do it on a different day. There's a lot of people to please, and
Yeah.
because sometimes, I mean,
But they don't
Nate
have to
doesn't always
understand.
give as much background information as I feel
it could help them.
would be useful.
Yeah, it could help them. It could help your family understand, but also they don't have to understand why,
Right.
and they don't have to. They
don't have to agree with
You're not
you.
asking for permission. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think anytime you can share a little bit of the why behind things, that's always going to be helpful.
Especially when it's a close family member. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to encourage your partner to
yeah.
smooth that out a little bit.
Okay, so Morgan Ivy is asking about, she said, tips for traveling with an infant and also how to keep a routine while you're away from home. So I would definitely say focusing on daytime feedings, making sure that you're getting in enough daytime feedings, the same number of daytime feedings that you normally do. I would say paying attention to the 12-hour windows of daytime versus nighttime. Contact napping, like trying to make sure that you are prioritizing naps, even if your baby's less than 4 months old, definitely a lot of contact napping. Traveling with an infant. I traveled with Clay when he was 6 weeks old, went out to Arizona. And I think I don't think we even brought the stroller. We did not even did we bring the stroller? No.
No,
it was
because
baby
we
wearing.
had it was.
Yeah.
One
so
of us
like
had
through
him
the
on us.
airport, baby wearing is super helpful. And
then they're so little, so you don't need
you don't need a ton of stuff.
yeah.
I would make sure that there is a blackout curtain option wherever you're going. So why are you laughing?
I just
remembered the slumber pod. Is
yes.
that what you're? Yeah. So
yes.
I'm not a fan of the slumber pod, by the way. There are many babies that do well with it. I never tried the slumber pod until
traumatized.
Clay. Yeah. Clay was 8 months old and we went out to
Yeah.
Arizona and the slumber pod just sent me it to try it. And so I was like, sure, I'm going out there. Like, I'll just try it. He was like, never had issues sleeping. And then I went to put him in the slumber pod and he was like, you could tell that he was terrified. He was terrified. He was. Luke was referring to it as the sensory deprivation chamber. I mean, it was intense. So
we're joking about it, but it was really sad.
Yeah, like as soon as we got that thing off of his pack and play, he slept like a champ. Like he was totally fine.
He was like, I'm sorry, Mom. Go to sleep.
Yeah. But I do like the Sleep Out. Sleep Out is another brand that has curtains. Like I actually brought one the last time I was in Arizona. I brought one and left it out there at Erica's house so that it's there whenever I visit. But it is little suction cups and Velcro that essentially you can turn any wall into complete blackout. So I would recommend looking, if you're staying in a hotel, they usually have blackout curtains, but if you're staying in someone's house, they might not have blackout curtains. So bringing something like a Sleep Out. I actually have a coupon code for Sleep Out. So I think I do. I'll make sure that it's still active and I'll link it in this episode so that you can, I think I have like 10 or 15% off. So you can check that out.
Yeah, those are cool.
Okay, we already talked about, somebody was asking about germs. So I won't say her Instagram handle, but she's saying germs and how to set boundaries for those who aren't on the same level as far as vaccines. So again, I think just like over communicating.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Over communicating. This other mom is saying you are allowed to say no. So true. Let go of all the expectations. Holidays with kids are loud and messy, but filled with love. I do think that's good advice. Like, you know, if it stresses you out to kind of go with the flow, then I would maybe pivot, but also don't worry. One day of not being on schedule. Yeah. It's not going to completely undo everything that you have spent the last 3 months or however long kind of establishing a routine. So this mom was saying, how do we set boundaries with with family on not going crazy buying for baby for Christmas? And again, we talked about that and that's great. Yeah. Like that is for sure. It's stressful because again, it's you as the parents having to come home and find a space for everything and hang on to things that maybe, you know, you don't really want or need. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This other mom said, if you choose to slip away to nurse, make sure your partner knows to check in on you and bring you a drink. Love that. That is such a good... Yeah. And I would say, like, I would step away to nurse or just to like take a deep breath and just like chill, because your capacity for sensory input is gonna, if you're not sleeping well, if you're in this fourth trimester, like you're gonna have a lot lower threshold. So it might actually you might actually be the one getting overstimulated and not your baby. And then this mom says, if you have lots of sweet family wanting to hold the baby, also put them to work. Yeah. Put them like, if they're at your house, yeah, for sure. Like you should be the one sitting down, snuggling with the baby, not the one that's up, like cleaning the kitchen and doing all the dishes and stuff. Yeah, I would encourage you not to play host for the holidays. If you have a baby less than 4 months old, I just think that that's a lot putting on yourself. So maybe you have it at your house, but you're not the one that's actually responsible for the hosting. You're just opening up your house. And then
Let's do
I
maybe
think
like one
that's
or two more.
Yeah, I think that's
good?
probably it. Yeah, I think we talked about a lot of these other ones already. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Well, I love it. Well, I'm excited for the holiday season, and hopefully today we provided some guidance or validation for some new moms to have a really happy holiday season and create some boundaries. Quick reminder, please, again, if you loved this episode, please take a moment to review us, iTunes or Spotify. Just drop a couple lines about, what you enjoyed about this episode. And I think that wraps us for the week. Anything else, Hillary?
Nope. I'm looking forward to our next episode.
Yep. Awesome. Well, let's let these ladies get back to early momming.
Thanks for listening to the Early Momming Podcast. Before you go, can I ask you a favor? If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and you're excited about what we'll be talking about in the future, please text your best friend this episode and tell her to give us a listen. And if you have time, do you mind going to leave us a review? Let us know what you liked. We are here to serve you. Plus, your reviews will make our podcast more findable for other moms to be able to join in on these candid conversations. Shout out to our sound guy, Kyle Moore, who makes it way easier to listen to us. And if you need to get in touch with us, send us an email at podcast@babysettler.com or send us a DM at Early Momming Podcast on Instagram. All right, we'll see you next time.